Welcome to our program, Coach-to-Coach. Today's guest is Amrita Auer. Amrita is an executive leadership coach, NLP coach, and life coach with 20 plus years of HR and corporate coaching experience. She holds a master in laws and multiple international certifications in NLP coaching, conversational hypnosis, integrated therapy, and meditation. Amrita works in English, French, and Italian. Amrita helps her clients expand who they are being in their personal and professional life so that they can elevate their doing and their having. In other words, she helps people see life differently and then live life differently. And in honor of Amrita's trilingualism, I thought I'd try my first trilingual welcome. So, welcome, bienvenue, and benevenuta to Coach-to-Coach. Thanks for joining us today. Amrita, I've been looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much, Greg. I'm really honored and happy to be here. Merci beaucoup. Grazie mille.
Nice.
It's a
Yeah,
pleasure.
you notice I struggled on the Italian the most because obviously here in Canada, French, I did take, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of French when I was a child
Nice.
in school.
Okay.
But the way I like to start these off is to ask what first sparked your interest in coaching?
I didn't know. I did not know actually I would start to work as a coach.
Mm,
I was in Italy. I spent 5 years in Italy. And when I decided to go back to Switzerland, I called one of my mentors and said, "Hey, can you coach me?" So
mm,
I was the coachee, right?
yeah.
Can you coach me, help me find a job? And I come from an HR background, right? HR, I had taught yoga for 10 years or so.
Mm,
And he comes back to me a couple of days later. He says, "Hey, Amrita, I found this ad. They're looking for an outplacement coach." And I was like, "Really? Do you think I could do that?" And he was like, "Yeah, why not?" And in fact, my first reaction was, "No, no, no, I don't think I'm ready for that." And I said,
mm,
"Thank you so much, but I don't think it's for me." And we hung up the phone. And right after that, I went on a walk and I started to realize, hey, but well, what if actually I could do that? I have HR. I know how the labor market works. I know how to work with people. I love working with people. I've been teaching yoga. I've done all these therapy trainings. Why not?
mm,
And I went back home. I just modified my CV and sent my application
mm,
and I got hired. And that's when I came back to Switzerland in 2020, no, 2018. That's when I started to work as a coach for executives that were transitioning in their career and big groups like Procter and Gamble and these kind of big companies. And that got me started.
wow.
And then I founded my own business in 2021. So this is year 6 now.
Mm. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds, I have a similar experience in that I had a realization when I got into coaching that I'd been coaching, not knowing I was coaching for much of my career as a leader and a manager of teams. Um, so it was kind of not a question of whether it was time to become a coach. It was more of a realization, oh, I've already been a coach. Kind of like, you're teaching yoga, you're kind of coaching yoga, I suppose you could
That's right.
look at it that way.
That's right. Yeah, if you have been leading teams, you have been coaching people, you
Yeah,
have been
absolutely.
regulating people, you have been motivating them, you have been listening to them, you have been helping them find solutions. So yeah, it's that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, just from your story there, the leap from working for, a business coaching people to starting your own business. What sparked that transition to going out on your own?
It was always my dream.
Mm,
And because I knew I had a way of working with people where I would bring everything I know about human psyche, about physiology, about beliefs, about yeah, changing our state. And I knew I couldn't really do everything I wanted if I was working for a company.
mm,
And also because I I loved continuing to take care of my well-being. So
mm,
for me, it was never like I refused to choose between my well-being and my career. Like, no, I want both. Like, I
yeah,
want to have a lifestyle that supports my energy and my happiness, and a work where I can share my unique talents, my skills, my passion. And if you work for a company, you can find a balance, but it's way easier if you work for yourself.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, well, I'm really curious about your practice, who you're working with, how you're working. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I work with NLP, right?
Mm,
Neuro-Linguistic Programming,
Yeah.
which is like, it was a discovery after years of therapy that I've done on myself. Finally, when I realized, oh, NLP coaching is actually that approach that helps me start from now
Mm,
and transform my state. That means my emotional, mental, psychological, energetical state. And from that place, I have access to better thoughts and I
mm,
can shift my beliefs and I can just reprogram my way of thinking and my way of using language. So it was a revelation.
mm.
And so I started as an NLP coach. And so people I work with, that's what your question was.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
are you
yeah.
working with and how are you
Yeah.
working? So, I mean, you already
Yeah.
kind of answered that with NLP, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I work with like most of my clients are executives, so founders or CEOs, people who either manage teams or they have to learn how to manage up.
Hmm.
And, they're like managers are often in a sandwich between the upper leadership and the people in their teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've been in
So
that sandwich a few times myself.
exactly. Yeah, you can relate to that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So I work with these people, I work with teams as well, but otherwise I have all kinds of people, and they can be entrepreneurs, they can be doctors, lawyers, what else? I have clients who are artists,
Mm,
either like vocal artists or visual artists.
yeah.
And also moms who want to reinvent themselves. So maybe somebody change continent or changes cultures, move to a new country. They want to reinvent themselves.
Hmm.
And in terms of age, the youngest person I coached was actually 16, a teenager.
Mm.
And the oldest was 82.
Wow.
It was a wonderful lady who wanted to write a book about her life and have fascinating stories to tell.
Mm,
Great.
yeah.
So I don't have a niche, and sometimes I coach coaches, but it's really not the majority of my clients.
Mm,
And I do work with entrepreneurs as well, and yeah, scientific researchers or school directors. It's really like all kind of professions. But really, what matters is that the people are ready to transform and ready to change their identity. They don't call it this way, right? They just say
sure.
like, I don't really know where I'm going now and what I'm going
Yeah.
to do. So we just redefine the priorities and the values and the direction. And with
Yeah.
NLP, it's not a linear process. It's
Mm,
more opening to possibilities and using language and using different, brain waves also to have access to like a bigger, larger perspective and
yeah.
using language in this way, in this sense.
Yeah. I'm curious about the language piece because I know you coach in three languages, English, French, and Italian. How does NLP play out in like, is it the same in different languages, just with different words
Ah,
and it,
this
or
is a great,
I'm,
it's a great question. Well, theoretically, yes, of course, we can do
mm,
NLP in different languages, but I learn everything in English,
mm,
which means for some clients who don't speak English, I have to translate and rearrange and like sometimes it's additional work.
yeah,
And also, like, when you learn something in certain conditions, if I learn something in English, my mind is formatted in English to do certain things.
mm,
So it's a practice, but because at home I speak French and English with my husband, it's pretty much okay. And also for Italian. So actually, I really love working in these three languages. And yes, it takes an adaptation. It takes a couple minutes to like shift into like you open a different drawer each time
mm,
you change language,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Because I know there's a lot of subtleties in like things aren't always a direct translation. You know, the gist
Yeah.
of what somebody's trying to say
Yes.
isn't a direct translation of the words.
Yeah.
There's more of
Yeah. Yeah.
a feeling element, but yeah,
Yeah. That's cool.
NLP is kind of what got me started. Well, I went from I guess the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, like in personal development,
Ah, yeah, I know him.
and then discovered NLP. And the first time I heard anything to do with NLP, it just activated something that was like, oh my God, this is what is this? You know, this is different than anything I've
Ah.
ever
Hmm.
heard of, and it really felt like
Hmm.
almost like a skeleton key that could open any
Hmm.
lock, right? Like it
Hmm.
was very powerful, and I find it so interesting working with clients. Maybe you could share a story about uh, something you discovered just listening to the language people use to describe their situation. The metaphors they
Exactly.
use and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the way language plays a huge role in NLP, because we take, like, let's say a client comes with a big problem, like, okay, I've got this problem. Like,
Mm,
imagine you're carrying a big piece of furniture. Okay, I've got
mm,
this problem. It's with me everywhere I go. It's always there. And the first thing I will say is like, okay, would it be okay for you to put the problem down first, and then we talk?
mm,
Literally, I will ask questions. For example, someone says, "Oh, okay, I'm anxious." I would ask questions to understand, how do you know that?
mm,
And also, are you also anxious when you sleep?
mm,
And I will ask questions to help the person chunk down the big problem so it becomes small pieces until the client uses words that are sensory based, which means that create images, sounds, or sensations. And then we have access to some keys to open up the experience and
mm.
change sometimes the physiology and also the meaning. And sometimes it starts with the meaning, then the physiology. It really depends. But NLP includes this body physiology part. It's not
Mm.
only talk therapy, right? It's a lot of in the 3D space.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Did
absolutely.
I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, what one of the biggest, I guess, things I took from NLP was the presupposition there's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Hmm.
In the way that works for me, like if I was in an interview or somebody was asking me, "Oh, tell me about a time that you failed," I literally go into my failure file in my brain and it's empty because I don't file things as failure. I file them
Yeah.
as feedback and
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's something I really attempted to teach my kids as they were growing up through school and sports and other things that they were into. That there was no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Yeah, it's true. There's learning, and then from that learning, as long as they continue to play the game, there's no
Mm,
failure. There's only growth, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's a great reframe.
Yeah.
In fact, because when you do that, if we say failure, it means we have frozen time.
Mm,
Failure can only happen if we freeze the time. So what we do with NLP, we unfreeze it. We bring movement.
mm,
We bring, like, a verb. You take a noun, you make it a verb.
yeah. Yeah.
And for example, like, there are some great presuppositions and also some. Have you heard, for example, instead of, "Oh, I believe it when I see it," it's
Mm,
more the opposite. It's like,
mm,
you see what you believe,
yeah.
you notice what you pay attention to.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I teach to all my clients these days, and I'm practicing that a lot as well since I came back from this immersion training with John Overdurf, is every day, each day, pay attention to what's new and different.
Mm,
And this simple practice has been backed up by 40 years of science and neuroscience as the most efficient way to reprogram the brain.
mm,
Because if you start to pay every day attention to what's new and different, you're programming your mind to do so even more. And every day. And after a while, it becomes like formatted,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I take from that is you're living in your actual experience versus a
Right.
memory of past experiences. And we
Yes.
know from psychological study that when you see something, the first thing the brain does is it looks to see, have I already seen that before?
Hmm.
And then that's
Hmm.
what you experience is so
Hmm.
if you're living in the new, what's new and fresh today,
Yes.
it's kind of another angle on being fully present, is what it sounds
Yeah.
like to me.
Yeah, you nailed it. Like, it's being fully present and noticing that nothing can ever be exactly the same because all we are is change.
Mm,
So, yeah, paying attention to what's new and different brings us in a state of presence and also noticing more of what we want to notice,
mm,
which was like, what is different and good? What is more like what I would like to experience? And
yeah,
I think that that's fascinating because you're
absolutely.
right. Otherwise, the mind goes into like associations with past experiences and comparing and say, "Oh, this is that." But
Yeah.
no, We're only moving forward. We can't, literally cannot go backwards.
Mm,
It's impossible.
yeah, yeah. And I can see how that relates, at least to most of what I've learned in coaching, which is about creation and moving forward. And when you meet people, clients who come with their long history of stuff that is negatively affecting their life that they want to deal with, most people come in and think, if you can fix my stuff, then I'll be okay. But it's more, okay, given that you have all this stuff, what would you love to create?
Yeah,
How do we move forward? What's fresh and new? How do we, and that's how you make change for people, positive
yeah.
change.
And also, what are the conditions in which the stuff was created? And also,
Mm,
what is the relationship I have with the stuff? Because the relationship I have with the stuff will change the stuff. You
absolutely.
know, have you heard about, I think it's Caroline Fryer Jones who says, the issue is not the issue.
Mm,
It's how we relate to the issue that is the issue.
mm,
And it's really that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you've shared such a diverse list of, you know, I don't want to say people because the people aren't what their jobs are, but different professions, different stages of life. I particularly love the the idea of transformation and reinvention is it doesn't have an age limit. You can be 70, you can be 80, and want something different in your life, and it's not too late. It's not I suppose that the saying that's coming to my mind is you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, that's right. There is no age for transformation. There's no limit else than our own mind. And before becoming self-employed, I have been in HR, and I think I had probably more than 15 different jobs.
Mm,
And I was really looking for the right fit or the balance or the lifestyle or the values and I couldn't find it, but I always like reinvented myself and I have never been as stable as since I've been, my own boss.
yeah.
So yeah, there's no age to reinvent ourselves, and it's also true in our professional and in our personal life. And I met the love of my life when I was 48 years
Mm,
old, and we got married like very fast, the same year.
yeah.
Then I have to say, I didn't know I would, meet this person who is my perfect like soul person. And so it's never too late also for love. And I'm saying this because I know a number of men and women who are kind of either resigned or feeling like desperate or like just give up.
Mm,
And we can continue to be open to new possibilities of our
mm,
life.
yeah. I love that you mentioned that because it reminds me, I don't know, so much of what I hear in the coaching world has to do with um, kind of work life and careers and making money and all this kind of stuff, and the fact that relationships and finding your soulmate is is on the it's on offer. It's no matter what your circumstances or your age or your past, you can create the future you want. It's out there for you, in your relationships too. So it's
Yeah, yes, you can. Because as you change, as you become the person who can actually create the love of your life, that's when you meet them.
mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I'm curious for you. I mean, this is something I've heard from a number of people is some flavor of in order to love somebody else, you have to love yourself. I wonder if that was part of your own personal transformation, that led up to that. If you're
Yeah.
open to sharing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think in my 30s and even in my early 40s, I was still under the trance that, oh, when I finally meet someone, then I'll be happy. Then
Mm,
I feel complete, or I feel I have value, or I have an impact, or whatever. And realize, no, my happiness and the way I contribute to the world don't depend on being with one person or not. It depends on who I choose to be and how I choose to show up and engage in life and share myself. So yes, when I meet clients or even friends or people who are like, I really want to meet someone, I can't be single. Like, yes, you
Mm,
have to be single as long as you believe you don't have to be single,
mm,
because otherwise, meeting someone from a place of lack is not the same as finding who you are and building a life that you love. And then from that flow, from that overflow, you meet someone and then you have so much more to share.
mm.
It's really different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my wife and I are going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary
I
in
was going to ask,
in a
wow,
little over a month. So yeah, it's
wow,
I found the love of my life in my best friend's basement. I married my best friend's sister. So yeah,
wow.
that was an interesting turn of events that was unexpected. But yeah, you no matter what age you are, you can always find love in the strangest of places.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
Wow.
Oh, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I'd love to hear some stories from you of how coaching has helped either yourself or some of your clients, stories that people can relate to and maybe see themselves in those stories and see what's possible for them.
Yeah, oh, I've got many stories. What do I start with? What what would resonate for you, like, or for people who are listening to us?
Yeah, whatever pops to mind first. I don't, I'm I'm an advocate of letting the universe guide us to sharing what's most appropriate. So whatever pops to mind first, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I can share a bit of my story.
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
When I started my business, I had been fired from a job where I was a coach and I loved the job, but I just didn't get along with someone, and I
Mm,
did not have the interpersonal skills, the relationship skills I have now. So I was fiery and all, and we had a fight, and the boss had to let me go.
mm,
And I was down, but I knew I was good at coaching. I could help people have results, and I just did not know how to become an entrepreneur. And I hired my coach, and she helped me like see the impact I had and create a rhythm and create new habits and just a focus and a way to use my time and attention to create results, to create clients, and one client at a time.
mm,
And very rapidly, I was able to support myself with my revenue. And after even 6 months, I already earned more than when I was employed. And it's been a beautiful journey. So I don't want to say, oh, it's been always easy.
mm,
No, there are ups and downs and ebbs and flows. But what I've learned is to actually surround myself with coaches. And I'm also in a coaching school for the third year in a row with AJC, with Coach Jane.
mm,
This is like vital to my own mental well-being and feeling have a sense of being surrounded by others and colleagues and being part of a community,
mm,
and also having sounding boards and people I can share my wins or my self-doubts or my vagueness with, like anything. So to not be isolated, that's one of the keys of success. That's what
yeah,
in my experience.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and then, mhm,
just to jump in there, I've been interviewing a number of people from the AJC
yeah.
world, and consistently, that's the value that everyone gets says they get from being part of this community, and I think that's one of the things. I don't want to say it's solely unique to coaching, but people from my corporate past would say things to me like, "Oh, aren't you in competition? Like, why are you interviewing coaches? Aren't they your competition?" And it's like it's at least my experience in most of the coaching communities I've been in, we're all here to support each other. And there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's plenty of people to coach. That we don't have to worry about
Mm.
competing with each other. We're more about helping build each other up and supporting each other and learning and growing together. And that's what I've noticed from everyone I've met from the AJC as well. So I love that you mentioned that connection and that community.
Oh yes, I know I met people that will be my colleagues, my friends for life.
Mm, yeah,
And that's immensely valuable, immensely valuable.
absolutely.
And then in the journey, one major thing is also to make sure like I'm treating myself as my first client.
Mm.
And a friend of mine shared that like in the beginning when I started, Daniel Harner, I don't know if you remember, if you know him,
No, not yet.
he was part of the being movement.
Mm.
And Daniel told me like I treat myself as my first client. And I think that makes so much sense
Absolutely.
because if I put my well-being, my happiness and a balanced life, which is whatever it means to anyone, right? For me, it means movement, it means connection, it means having time to also for art. And I love singing, I love dancing, I love being outdoors and all that, like really taking care of my physiology and my emotional well-being as well. Then I have so much more to give than if I if I jump on the computer first thing in the morning, or if I jam pack my calendar, or if I just forget that life is bigger than work,
Mm.
right? So when I put things into this perspective of like holistic perspective, and I see myself as the the first client,
Mm.
then things are flowing much more. And you know, Greg, I say that, but how many times did I forget?
Yeah.
So many times I forgot. Like the first month I was working in the weekend. I
Mm.
was jam packing my calendar. I was compromising on things that I knew were important to me. And so it's a constant like remembering, oh, am I living my life in a way that I will recommend my clients to live their lives?
Mm.
Right? To
Yeah.
walk the talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that because it's, a reminder too that no one's infallible. Like we can strive to put ourselves first and then get caught up in other demands being put on our time or
Oh
projects
yeah.
or whatever. And even coaches uh,
Yeah.
need coaching.
Oh
um,
yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Coaches need coaching and at the same time, coaches need to rest. And I was telling a client 3 days ago that actually recovery is part of our work. So
Mm.
making sure we have enough time and space for recovery, whichever form it takes.
Yeah.
It's as important. The client is training for a marathon.
Mm.
And so as you train for your marathon, make sure you make time for recovery. And this applies to us entrepreneurs and coaches and even executives. So
Absolutely.
we underestimate how important recovery is.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a famous female hockey player here in Canada named Haley Wickenheiser. I think she
Mhm.
might be one of the most decorated athletes in Canada in terms of how many medals she's won at the Olympics and things. But I read her book and she had a chapter called "Rest is a Weapon," and it was all about she's an elite athlete and works with elite athletes and the importance of building rest into your routine. That
Yeah,
rest and recovery,
yeah,
you can't burn the
yeah.
candle at both ends and succeed. Uh,
It's really important.
yeah.
I helped one of my long-term clients is a doctor, actually a surgeon.
Mm.
And when we met, she was really working like 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes more.
Yeah.
And including sometimes weekend, but she had to do some shifts in the weekend. And what she did is first she changed job, she changed city, and she found an environment that really suited her more. And then she reduced her work time from 100 to 80%.
Mm.
And then so now it's been already a year. She has every Monday is off for her, and that's a major game changer
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
her. And yeah, so this is an example also with other executives that I invited to test. What does it feel like if you leave work at 6 p.m. instead of 8 p.m.?
Mm.
And this woman had a family, like they had family and kids, and she tried it once.
Yeah.
And then she said, wow, Amrita, I realized I have a whole evening that I can share and spend with my family and go on a walk and cook and have a life.
Mm.
And since then, she's kept that habit
Yeah.
of like not staying at work longer than 6 p.m. But in Europe, maybe in Europe, it sounds like more normal than I think in the US, people are even more like workaholic like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah. In
right?
North America here, we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
we have some problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really based to this identity that we build through society that I have value if I have a job or if I have a status or if I work.
Yeah,
And I think this the distinction is like there's a difference between having a job or using your skills and using your gifts and your talents in a way that makes sense to you,
yeah,
and then changing the world with that.
yeah,
And I know there's a way for each person to find this fulfillment at work.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I struggled with that myself when in 2019,
Mm.
the company I worked for was restructuring, and I got offered either
Mhm.
go back to my old job or take a package. So I left and took a package. Um, anyway, to make a long story short, then there was a global pandemic, all this kind of stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
it ended up being wonderful because I ended up doing this, which I love. Um, but when I first couldn't find a job at the end of 2020, I realized like, oh, my whole identity was wrapped up around
Mhm.
my job. You know,
Mhm.
I was successful in my career. I was the go-to person at work, and then when all that
Mhm.
disappeared, it was like, well,
Mhm.
who? If I'm not that, then who am I? And for a long period of time, I felt lost.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
through working with my coach and mentor Jamie Smart, um,
Nice.
kind of came back to seeing, oh yeah, I'm actually not my job. I'm so much more than my job.
Yes.
And the rest is history, as they say. It actually reminded me of what you mentioned in your own story of getting fired, and um, uh, it just reminded me of how many stories I hear from people that there's an event like that in the
Mhm.
moment was probably not something you wanted to have happen,
Yeah.
and I'm just imagining that you probably uh, had some periods of time there where, oh my God, what have I done? And
Mhm.
this is terrible and all this stuff. And then fast forward all these years later and you look back and go like, thank God I was fired. Like that started me on this path. I'm going to assume that that's kind of how you feel about it now, but certainly
Yeah.
know in my own story, that's the way I feel.
It's really that because you love what you do,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
it's the same as when I got fired. It's like, and it's something I like to help my clients see is where is the hidden blessing?
Mm,
Uh, my coach, Camille Samuel, was asking, how is that an answer to an unconscious prayer that you
mm,
made?
mm,
And it makes sense. Because you're right. Like when we are unemployed, and I have been unemployed like many times in my life, not for longer, not for longer than maybe 4 months or so, but like a number of times, at least four times. And every time I took it, okay, that's a time for reinvention. That's a
mm,
time to come back to myself. That's the time to reconnect with what's real, what's true, what brings me energy, and what is meaningful for me. And I know some people see this unemployment time as a failure, as oh, it shouldn't be this way. But in fact, yes, it has to be this way.
yeah.
I have an example of a client you asked me before.
Yeah. I'd love to hear
So
it.
this woman was a high-level executive, a director in the public health industry, and she had been fired after 3 months in a new job, and she was really destabilized, like, oh, why didn't it work? What happened?
Mm,
And we worked together, and it took her 9 months. She took 9 months to reinvent herself and turn around the relationship she had with herself and with work and with her family and with time and with what brings her joy. So, yeah, it took her 9 months that
mm,
she really consciously used to dive deeper. And she had a number of interviews and a number of recruitment processes. It's only when she was ready that she landed a dream job.
yeah.
And she's like, yeah, 9 months is like a baby. Like she had to prepare to like birth herself again. In
Yeah.
fact, after after working for 15 years without any pause. So I think when we get fired sometimes or when like unexpected events like that happen, it's also when life says, hey, why don't you slow down a bit and reflect on is that the direction where you want to go? Are you the person you want to be? Are you living your life in a way that is aligned to your values?
Yeah.
And so it's always a blessing that sometimes we see it afterwards, but it's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love what you said about,
Yeah.
um, I forget the words, exact words a secret blessing from the universe or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
um, just the idea that, there's something bigger than you going on here, and part of the game of it is to figure out what that is for you, and using your curiosity and following your passions to discover that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you're saying that like to have an answer and at least a sensation of why did I come here for? Like
Mhm.
why have I come here for? And and then when we have an idea, like if you didn't need to work, would you still do what you're doing now?
Yeah.
And if the answer is I'll do the same, then it's the right role, it's the right job. So
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, yeah, I was telling my husband, if I was a multimillionaire, would I want to coach people for free? I said,
Mm.
no. Also, because when people engage and invest in their own transformation, this is when they commit. This is
Yeah.
when we create results.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, we have
even the
the
word
same
work,
profession, sure.
yeah,
Hmm?
like as you say that, um, and this is the way I feel about what I'm doing now. Like I even struggle to put the label work on
Yeah,
what I'm doing, because when
yeah.
I think of work as kind of work, it for me is doing something that somebody else wants me to be doing.
Okay, that's the meaning you give to
Yeah,
work. Okay.
versus doing what I want to be doing all of
Yeah.
the time, right? So, and I mean,
Mm.
there are things
Mhm.
in my business that, like accounting,
Yeah.
I don't know, various things that I'd prefer not to do, but 95% of what I do is stuff that even if I was independently wealthy, I would still be doing a lot of it. So, um,
Yeah. And that's when you know you are at the right place at the right time.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, the
Absolutely.
distinction between work-life balance, I don't think that makes sense because life is bigger than work.
Yeah.
And then we take ourselves everywhere we go. So there's no real distinction. There's a coach that says how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
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 Now that you mentioned the thing about failure, and I want to say something about mistakes because that's something as coaches uh, I've learned that the more I allow myself to make mistakes with clients, to not do the right thing or
Mhm.
to sometimes be wrong or mess it up, and the more I can own that and even like call back and apologize and reconnect,
Mhm.
that's what creates trust. And sometimes, yeah, I mean, mistakes are for learning, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I love the metaphor that people use often is, watching a baby or a toddler learning to walk. Like it's full of mistakes,
yeah.
but that's how they learn. That's how we learn everything is you
Mhm.
try something and you figure
Mhm.
out what doesn't work, and you try something different, and you keep tweaking what you're doing, and next thing you know, you're unstoppable like a toddler. Like you gotta put them put up barriers, and keep them contained, because
Yeah,
once they get moving, it's a whole other story.
yeah.
I'm really curious, if there's one thing you'd want people to take away from this conversation, what would that one thing be?
It is to create your business from a place of fulfillment and overflow.
Mm,
It's that like the place we take action from matters more than the number of actions we take.
mm,
And that means people set goals and believe, okay, when I reach this goal over there, then I will finally feel fulfilled or free and happy. What I've learned for myself and for my clients is to bring that sense of fulfillment and happiness and free in the now
mm,
already and create from that place, or at least a part of it,
mm,
right? Feeling a part of that state and creating from there, not taking action from pressure. I have to, this is how things should be. We hear everything about what it takes to create a thriving coaching practice, right?
mm,
Oh, I need a website or I need 10,000 followers or I need to write a book. none of this is true if it comes from a place of obligation.
Mm,
So I would say, yes, we have to do the things that are uncomfortable, but that's different. We can do the uncomfortable things from a place of joy and curiosity instead of, oh, I don't want to. So that's the fine line I like to mention, and
yeah. Yeah.
that's what has been helping me to have a thriving practice. This is my third year in six figures,
Mm,
uh, and my 6 years of
congratulations.
business.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I love it. And
Yeah.
I just couldn't help myself but coaching. Like if
Yeah.
you put myself in a new city, in a new place, I think I'd end up coaching people
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Is
Right.
it, I don't know if you'll find this interesting or not, but the way I relate to the success that you just mentioned
Mhm.
isn't really about the number of zeros or the money or the that part of it. It's to me that's just an indicator of the level of impact that you're
Yeah.
having in the world, and that's
Mhm.
to me that's the important takeaway
That's true.
that's a sign of the 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 amount and the size of the ripples that you're making in the world. So I congratulate you on that. If
Thank you. I'm really touched. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
It's
you. If
nothing warms my heart more than having people who refer me
mm,
or, a client spouse or like this kind of a ripple effect are
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
reflection of the impact that we make as coaches.
Yeah. Speaking of impact as coaches, if people want to find out more about you or get in touch with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Amrita Leaf Hour. They can find me on my website, amrita.hour.com, on Facebook as well, or on social media, actually.
Nice. Lots of
Like
places.
organically, I am on social media. I don't have anyone doing it for me, or I don't have any plan. It's
Yeah,
just like spontaneous and
nice.
yeah.
That's the way I like doing it too. Well, this has been wonderful. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit, and thrilled to be able to share you with my audience. So, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Greg, and I look forward to speaking again.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you again soon.
See you soon.